Here's the way a private prison works, okay? You pay somebody to build a fancy cage. Then you fill it up as far as you can get it, full of people that built the cage get paid $40,000 or $50,000 a year to just keep in the cage. Now, if you've got 5,000 people in your cage and you're being paid $30,000, $40,000 a year for them, that's a lot of money. And if you can, on top of that, use them as your private property, as chattel property, that you can then make do work or produce things that you get paid for on top of that. What a great deal. Now, where I come from, when you transform a person into a piece of property, that's called slavery.
They trade their stock on Wall Street based upon the number of people that are in jail. If that isn't sick, if that isn't the best definition of sickness in a society, in a culture, in a civilization, I can't tell you what is.
What is created was a market opportunity. In our capitalistic, free economy, free market society, it's an opportunity to make money. And the private prison companies that were formed in the mid-1980s capitalized on that. They saw it as an opportunity to expand, and the industry expanded by developing other companies. Other players started joining. You had Cornell Corrections, you had Correctional Services Corporation, MTC, Synergenics, Emerald Group. You had a wide number of prison operators join into this industry because it was very profitable.
The idea that we're just going to keep incarcerating, pretty soon we're not going to have a young African-American male population in America. They're all going to be in prison or dead, one of the two.
One of the reasons why the prison industrial complex has expanded as it has is because we have learned how to forget about prisons, even if they're in our own neighborhoods, even if we have relatives and friends in prison. And if you look in communities of color, almost everybody knows someone who is there or has been there. As a matter of fact, we can sort of think about the relationship as being the relationship between slaves and abolitionists. Because as a matter of fact, the prison system contains obvious vestiges of slavery. Right? The 13th Amendment abolished slavery for all except those who are being punished for committing a crime. So in a lot of ways, what we see in the penitentiary system in this country is the continuation of the system of slavery. And that is why many of us suggest that what we need during this period is a late 20th century abolitionist movement, as there was a 19th century abolitionist movement.
The vice president is now accused of engaging in organized criminal activity. Cheney, former Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, State Senator Eddie Lucio Jr., Judge Migdalia Lopez, Judge Janet Leal, and Willacy County District Clerk Gilberto Lozano are some of the public officials named. Guerra recently told News Channel 5 he was investigating corruption within the private prison system following an inmate's death. According to Cheney's indictment, the vice president is specifically accused of investing some $85 million in the private Vanguard Group, which houses federal inmates. The grand jury accuses Cheney and Alberto Gonzales of engaging in organized criminal activity.
They trade their stock on Wall Street based upon the number of people that are in jail. If that isn't sick, if that isn't the best definition of sickness in a society, in a culture, in a civilization, I can't tell you what is.
Well, at this hour, we're learning more about how exactly the vice president and Senator Eddie Lucio are tied to the GEO Group prison company.
Well, News Channel 5's Becky Medellin has that part of the story. Becky.
Simply put, the accusations against Cheney and Lucio are that they both made money off the GEO Group. Here's how it breaks down. The indictment says the vice president has $85 million invested in a company called the Vanguard Group. Now, the Vanguard Group has investments in prison companies like the GEO Group. This indictment states the vice president has a say in how much money the federal government pays those prison companies to house inmates. According to the indictment, that's a conflict of interest because the more money the prison companies make, the more money goes back to investors like Cheney. Now, as for Senator Eddie Lucio Jr., the accusation against him is that he was paid to be a consultant for the prison companies and that he made a profit as a result of his Senate office. In the newsroom, Becky Medellin, News Channel 5 at 6.
Now, where I come from, When you transform a person into a piece of property, that's called slavery.